I think it's time that I just need to admit I've been considering leaving the classroom virtually and physically for quite some time. Hi everybody, it is the next day. Yes, I had to emotionally split filming this. I cut off where I did because I've been crying a lot lately. So I've tried to rewrite this script several times, and every time I try to rewrite it, I just get angrier. Not at the kids, never at the kids, not at the parents, not even at me or my colleagues. We need to do something. We need to do something, everybody. When my father first found out that I had left my call center project management path in 2008 to re-enroll and go into education because, well, we all know what happened in 2008, and to put things even in greater perspective of what my adult life has been like, I was a freshman when 9/11 happened. Freshman in high school, mind you. And then in 2008, I had literally just graduated that previous year from college with my 2-year degree in business office management with a focus in like administrative assistant, paralegal, medical office management, kind of secretarial assistant roles. And yeah, in 2008, it was really hard to get one of those positions. So I said, you know what? I only have a 2-year degree. I'm going to go back to school. I am one of those people who has said since like they were old enough to know what school was that I wanted to be a teacher. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. I watched my brothers get up in the morning. I used to walk with my mom to take them to school when we were in elementary school, or I was really, really little in elementary school and whatnot. So I was also that kid that wanted to play school when I got home. And the state of K-12 is a mess. I have watched in the last 11 years the education system take a turn, and oh my God, the roller coaster has had so many corkscrews. That whole thing that we say in education of, you know, it's just like fashion. It was in style in the 70s. It came back in the 90s. It'll probably, and did, come back, you know, somewhere around 2015 through 2025. It did. And not in pretty ways. It's just same thing, different label with more political agenda attached is all I have heard my entire career from people who have been teaching for over 30 years. We're talking, you know, I'm an English teacher. I'm a reading teacher. This is a content area where once you get a job, you don't normally have much ceiling room to grow because everyone wants a math teacher or a science teacher or a STEM or a special education teacher or a gifted education teacher. They don't want English teachers and social studies teachers. We, there for a while, were very, very much a dime a dozen, to the point that we were most of for us younger ones coming out of college, the only thing for us to do was substitute teach. So yeah, finding a long-term position in certain content areas is hard because they're not as well funded. There aren't as many of them. English classes can easily be double the size of math and science classes in some schools I've worked at. And I'm just, yeah. As you can tell already, there's just so much in my head where I'm like, I feel like, and so many other teachers have said this, I feel like my hands are tied behind my back when I teach. I'm trying to prepare these kids not just to read and write well. I believe that as a teacher, I belong to this community that I work in. It is kind of from an ethical, moral standpoint, part of my job to be like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me play your Jiminy Cricket because yours is apparently taking a nap. I'm the adult in the room. It kind of, in some context, from a safety standpoint, I have to be that voice. I don't feel empowered to be a leader in a safe classroom anymore. And that flies in the face of the very reason why I came into this profession to begin with. I want to help kids. I can't do it behind my back. I then, in the last month since being let go from another unfunded English position, because again, we don't matter as much as the other content areas, even though I'm certified to do what I'm certified to do to work with the at-risk populations who need me. The second you ask for things like better pay, you're let go because the money's not there. The only way I'm going to make the money I need to make to stay in education is to go back into a building. I live in Maryland. I live in a state where, thanks to the casino systems opening a couple of years ago before 2020 hit, and because of other things that have recently become legal, getting taxed, and because our previous governor, mind you, I'm saying this as someone who is not agreement in either Democrat or Republican, we had a governor who, actually cared about small businesses enough we got some halfway decent reform law here in this state compared to when I was a kid in the 90s, mind you. Okay. So yeah, I've seen teachers get a huge pay increase. If I were to go back into a building, I would be making $50, $60K a year with my certifications. It's not enough. It's not enough. I got a hard look in 2020 at what it's like to work with a student who literally wants to unend you if it means they don't have to see you Monday morning. My husband and I are desperately trying to grow a family. And part of me wonders if the stress of knowing where I work, yeah. Cody and I have a very hard decision to make once we have children that stay here. Blessings and prayers and hopes and bravery to the kids in K-12 who go because mom and dad have no other choice but to send them. And I do. This is the part that bugs me most. I feel like I'm abandoning kids who I could help. There's a balance. I've gotten enough statements handed my way across my teaching career from former employers to where I don't feel welcome in the career anymore either, for other reasons. I've mentioned this once or twice that my mental health has had some very biased and union got involved situations over a couple principals saying things they shouldn't have said about teachers who have unstable mental health situations. Yeah, when you got to take FMLA because you're having panic attacks every day over going to work, I see you, fellow teachers. I know so many of you are going through the same thing and getting the looks of, huh? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Oh, suck it up. And we're all tired of it. Some of you are kind of giggling or rolling eyes, but a lot of you are going, yeah, I've heard that very conversation right outside my own classroom door or right down the hall, or heard my friends say it or my siblings say it. And I'm just like, no, it's got to stop. So when I started all this 11 years ago, to circle back around, since apparently it's just going to be a mess of a recording, my dad asked me when I told him that I wanted to take this journey, he said, direct quote, so take it up with the man who is now 6 feet under and, long since gone. Take it up with him. He asked me, why would you want to babysit somebody else's ungrateful children who will never really truly appreciate everything you do for them? And mind you, he's coming from a place of he himself was that kid. Literally, that's where he's coming from, because he would say, mind you, I don't have a single teacher I remember. He's telling me this as a man in his 50s and 60s, because my dad was much older when I was born. So he's kind of giving me some end-of-life retrospection, but also I know my dad, and I can definitely imagine he was one of... my dad's visited me as students. We'll word it that way. And my husband and I have had this conversation, and he has even said, I got detention a lot for various reasons in school, and a couple of my siblings have said, I got detentions a lot, and I couldn't get away with half the stuff that your students do today. And I'm just at, I don't know whose problem it is, but why did I want to help the kids? It's because I knew what it was like to be the kid who didn't have anyone out there to help them. And then I have to go, Jenna, it's not your responsibility to save all of them either. And it sounds so selfish, and it feels so rude and so nasty and so wrong. But I had to put me first. I've been at my healthiest and at my sickest while a teacher. Physically. I have never been at my healthiest mentally or emotionally. We're not empowered to be such. And until, they say, you'll find the right school, you'll find the right school, you'll find the right school. I'm good at what I do. I love what I do. I had an amazing journey. I did the best with the cards and the hands and the rosters of students that I will always adore and appreciate, because they taught me stuff too. Those kids, I said in the last video, a student said, you teach us how to be a good people. No, you guys taught me how to be a good person. Thank you to everyone who has shown me support while I make this transition. Thank you to the family and friends and more who have listened to me rant, complain, freak out, and panic attack over being a teacher. Who's listened to me worry over my students as to whether or not we're going to make it through to testing season and beyond. More importantly, thank you to those of you who commented on my first video, the ones listening to me ramble through that one and cry through this one too. To my students, because I actually didn't get to say goodbye this year. Those of us who were let go, we didn't get to say goodbye to our students this year, so. Pardon me while I take a moment. To my students, I love you. You're gonna kick butt. I know you can do this. Don't let them tell you you can't. If that's one thing you take away from our time together, when someone tells you you can't, you take it and turn it into your rocket fuel, and you rock yourself to the moon. I adore you. Goodbye.